I'm going to share with you a breakdown of Jeffrey Herling's training program, what his body's going through when he's out on the bike, and then more importantly, what are some of the lessons and some of the learnings that you can take to apply to your own riding and racing if you're not doing as much riding as Jeffrey and you don't have a mechanical team to go out to the track with you every day. So, first of all, if we have a look here at his riding, so this is a great video from Dirt Bike Online showing him doing some fast laps. So if we have a look here, hopefully that audio is really loud, but if you want to hear the bike a little bit, I'll put myself over here. If you have a look at what's happening with his body, you'll notice that his legs are doing a lot of the work, especially here on this track as it's in the sand. So here you'll notice like he's up on the pegs, and if you watch him go through this next section, there's a lot of whoops there and a lot of sand. Look how many times his bum like taps the seat and then gets back up, and then taps the seat and then gets back up. So if I go back there and let's put it in slow motion. So let's go half speed. I want to show you how many times his legs are actually getting used, because I feel like that's one of the parts that a lot of riders miss is in their training, is they focus so much on the riding, they forget that the strength their body actually needs to be able to ride the bike well and get into the positions they know they need to. So have a look here. So he's up. He gets down, he goes up again, he goes down, he goes up again, he goes down, he goes up again. It gets a bit untidy, he goes down, he goes up again, he goes down, and then he goes up again, and then he goes down. So if you have a look at how many like squats he's done there, obviously he's pushing that rear wheel into the ground as best he can, and obviously it gets a little bit untidy at that specific section, so it's probably working even harder. So let's have a look here and count. So he's on so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6, just in that one section. That's not even counting going around the actual corner. So his legs are taking a pounding, is really driving the bike into the ground. So remember, he's got the G-force of the bike, which might be, say, 1 or 2 Gs, plus he's got the weight of the bike that he's trying to deal with as well. So he's riding a KTM 450. That's probably 110 kilos right there. So I'm not sure how much he weighs, but let's say he weighs 85 kilos. He's got an 85 kilo bike, plus he's got the 110 kilo 450, right? So he's got 195 kilos that he's wrestling around through the sand. So it requires a lot of strength. So obviously the stronger his legs are, the easier it is for him to be able to wrestle the bike and correct it like it was there, where you could see that he was getting a little bit untidy. So if we go back to normal speed now, and we'll have a look what's up next. So again, coming through those whoops, it looks like the same section, but it's again like legs, legs, legs. With these sections here, you'll notice that his legs get a rest. So as he's like going through the air over a jump, that's where his legs are unloaded. Like he goes through those whoops, bam, 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 bam. His legs are being used. And they're like, it's like doing like really heavy squats at the gym and doing lots of them like all in a row as fast as you possibly can. It's like bam, 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 bam. His legs are taking a pounding, they're burning. But then when you get to the jump and you're in the air, that's where you get your bit of a rest, right? That's where you can recharge and you're like, whew, you're going to rest before you're ready to go for your next set. So it's when you're training in the gym, it's not about doing like 1,000 bodyweight squats. It's about getting your body really, really good at doing some heavy squats for 5 to 10 reps, being able to challenge yourself and push them hard, and then be able to have a rest between your sets and then be able to go again. Because that's exactly what's happening out on the bike here. So you can hear the 2-stroke in the background. But again, see, it's all legs, 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 and then he gets a little rest. So that's his rest. His legs are unloaded there. There's no load going through his legs at that point. He's in the air. His body can rest and relax before he gets up into this next corner. So let's have a look at this next corner if I show it. There we go. So again, legs, 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 right? So coming into the corner like that, obviously he's using legs as well because he's up on the pegs and he's getting the bike to go where he wants to, but probably not using as much as he was when he was going over the whoops. When you're really driving that back end into the ground as you're going through those whoops, that's when your legs are being used the most. When you're coming into a corner over braking bumps, they're still being used a lot, but probably not as much as the whoops. The other thing that we haven't mentioned yet with strength is this upper body. You've got the G-force of braking. So when you're braking and you're going into a corner, the bike automatically wants to pull you forward. So when you're going into a corner, what you'll find is that when you put the brakes on, is the bike starts to sit up like that, right? And so all your body is going forward over the bars. If you didn't use your strength on the bike, or you didn't have any strength, or you felt weak, or you were fatigued, then that's when your body starts to go too far forward and you start to get into trouble. So to keep your body over the back while you're still braking hard, you've got to resist that braking force. And the way that you resist that braking force is by strength. So you can see here, he's got his elbows up. Okay, he's using his upper body to be able to brace himself and be in control of the bike. You'll see when guys start to get fatigued and they're not in control of the bike and they lose their strength and they lose their power and they lose their endurance in their body, is that's when they start to, the front end's going everywhere, they start to lose control of the bike. Even though they know what positions they need to get into, they're not getting into them. So he does a good job there. This is probably like one of the biggest rests you get, especially on a sand track, is this is probably outside of maybe going through the air over a jump, this is probably where you're going to get your most rest on the track, is when you're going around the corner. You can see he's just got the bike flat out, he's sitting down, he's pretty relaxed, his legs are relaxed, his arms are relaxed because there's no bumps there, and then bam, ready to go for a few more bumps. And again, upper body's working, lower body's working. It's all about strength to be able to wrestle the bike around, especially through this section. Like, this section is brutal. There's no way you can get through those sections like that without having adequate levels of strength. You might have the technique to be able to get through, but to do that consistently lap after lap after lap, you're really going to struggle. See, like this, like where the bike's really chopping around and changing direction, that's where a fair bit of strength is required. And Jeffrey makes it look really, really easy. He's obviously quite a strong rider, and he's able to put the bike where he wants it to go. So again, coming through these whoop sections, lots and lots of strength. Again, rest, and then he lands, and then he's back on it, and then goes again. And some guys here getting some tips, good on them. The other thing to notice here as well is if we go back, like just have a look at that little section there. So he's come, where are we? Hang on. So he's come through here, right? His body's working really, really hard. He's working. Rest. This is his rest when he's in the air. Okay, that's when his body is getting a rest and he's not working at 100% anymore or working really, really hard like he was through the whoops. Then he lands and he probably gets a bit of a rest there because it's not actually too rough through that section. And then he gets up a little bit before he goes jump again, rest, lands. I'm not sure what's on the other side there, and then another, and then he goes again. So important thing to note there when he's doing that is that when you're training your cardio for racing, there's two types of cardio that you need. There's one type of cardio, which is where you want your body to be able to exercise and work for a long period of time. So if you're doing like a 3-hour enduro, you want your body good at going for 3 hours. If you're doing 40-minute motocross races, then you want your body going hard for 40 minutes. But the other component of that cardio is within that 40 minutes, within that 3 hours, there's certain parts of the track that require a lot more effort than other parts of the track. And that's a perfect example of that. Because during those whoops, he's using a lot of effort, right? If we go back here during this section here, he's using a heap of effort. His body's working really, really hard to keep the bike where he wants it. But then when he's in the air, he doesn't use much effort. So this is where your interval training comes in. It's getting your body going very hard for short periods of time, being able to rest and recover really quickly, like he is there in the air, and then be able to hit the ground and go hard again. So if you're riding a lot and you get out on the bike a lot, like Jeffrey, goes riding almost every day and then races during the season most weekends, then you're going to build a lot of that strength and fitness through just being on the bike. You don't need too much gym and off the bike stuff to build your fitness and strength because you're building so much of it while you're on the bike. Whereas for those of you that aren't riding and racing every day, which is probably most of you, unless you're a professional rider, you need something else to build that strength. You need something else to build that fitness. And that's where the gym work comes in. That's where the off-the-bike cardio work comes in, and making sure that is dialed in as best it can possibly be to help you when you get out on the weekend. Because if you're just going riding once a weekend and expecting to build like the fitness and strength that Jeffrey's got, or even getting half of it, you're just not going to get there. So let's have a look here and see what else he does again. It's like it's all legs, right? So much legs. His legs are just driving. So the stronger you can get your legs, the lighter the bike feels, the easier those bumps are to be able to tackle, right? The easier those bumps are to be able to tackle, the less energy you use with your legs. I know with me when I was racing, my legs would get tired really, really quick. I knew what positions I needed to get into on the bike, but I just struggled to keep in those positions. And then I'd start to sit down and start to go over the bumps sitting down because I was trying to rest because my legs were cooked. So again, stronger you can get your legs, the easier it's going to be to get through some of those bigger whoops and rougher sections, and the less tired you're going to get. And as you can see from Jeffrey, like he can just keep hooking around, which is it's really cool to see. Another rest period there in the corner. That's probably an easier section there for this particular track, but that's like rest, working hard, resting a little bit, going hard. That's a bit of a rest here. Working hard again over those bumps to keep the bike where he wants it to go. Working relatively hard there, resting. So it's this chopping and changing intensity as you're going through each lap. So it's just important to make sure that you tackle both types of cardio in your training, and not just doing a whole heap of longer distance training, which is what a lot of guys do. So that's the demands of what he's actually going through, and hopefully there's some insights there on what you can implement for your own training. If we have a look here on Transmoto, this was from 2020, I'm pretty sure, an article, 4 years ago. So we're 2024 now, so about 2020. Just talking about like his rough schedule for the week. So after a Grand Prix here, he talks about like more just recovery. So he'll have the Monday to recover. He'll do active recovery, where he'll go and ride for like I think he says an hour and a half. It just ticks his legs over, goes and does cycling. Obviously enjoys cycling and getting out, but nothing that's too intense. The reason active recovery is good is because it gets what's called your lymphatic system working. Your lymphatic system is what pumps lymph and white blood cells around your body. And so what happens is when you break down your muscles and you put your body under a lot of stress, you get toxins released into this lymphatic system. And that's what causes the swelling and the tightness and the rigidity that you get after you've had a big ride or had a big race. The thing is, though, with this lymphatic system is it only works with what's called muscular contraction. So what that means is the muscles actually have to be working and moving for that lymphatic system to be operating and flushing out all of the toxins and bringing all the white blood cells in to help your body to recover. So what a lot of riders do is they'll just go and sit on the couch for the first half of the week after a race because they're sore and stiff and don't feel great. The thing is, it just makes you feel worse. It actually slows down your recovery. So obviously, Jeffrey's got that nailed. So if you are a racer that races, say, once a week or only rides once a week, and you find that you are a bit stiff and sore on the Monday, still go and train. Go and do your normal training. That's what we do with our guys in the fast lap system, is they're still training. They're still doing their normal workouts. We're just dropping the weights back. We're dropping the intensity back because we don't want to flog them and put their body under a heap more stress if they are really sore and stiff. But at the same time, we don't want them sitting on the couch and have their lymphatic system not working well. So you always want to get back into training. On Tuesday, he says here, normally I do some sprints and at least one training session as well. Could be more cycling or some rowing. So he rides his bike in the morning and then do training in the afternoon. He's got 5 or 6 tracks he can go to, which is great for him. For you guys, though, probably going to be a challenge to find 5 or 6 tracks that you can go to on any given day and actually have the time to be able to and resources to do that. So obviously he's building a lot of strength and fitness just through being on the bike. Okay, through getting out there. He's raced on the weekend. He would have built strength and fitness from racing on the weekend, building more strength and fitness on Tuesday from going riding, and then he's incorporating his cycling and his rowing. So that might be made up of doing longer distance endurance pieces, and then it could be made up of doing interval short, sharp pieces as well. Wednesday's pretty much the same, and then he's doing longer motos on the bike. Again, like if you can't do all the riding that he's doing, which is going to be most of you, then you need to find something else off the bike to build the strength and fitness. And that's where your gym training comes in and making sure that's dialed in. Thursday isn't a riding day, so he doesn't ride on Thursdays. So he'll be in the gym and then cycling again. So gym, I would assume, would be his weight training, his strength training. From what I read, he's only in the gym or really doing weight training like once a week, maybe twice. For our guys, we get them training in the gym 3 times a week. And the reason we do that and get them strength training 3 times a week is because they're not riding as much as Jeffrey. Jeffrey's building a lot of their strength and fitness through being on the bike all the time, whereas the guys that we work with in the fast lap system aren't doing that. They're going to work. Friday's almost free, but so that's pretty much like a tapering day that he has there. So what I mean by that is he like drops off the intensity of his training. He's not training is hard, just doing something nice and easy before he goes and races on the weekend to feel good on the weekend. Same thing that we do with our guys is when they're racing, if they've got a big race that they're working towards, then the last session of the week, we just get them to drop the intensity off. They still want to train. Like, we still get them doing stuff exactly like what Jeffrey's doing, because you want your body ticking over and moving. When you're used to training and moving all the time, and then you stop, okay, and you take all this time off to try and rest or recover before the race, you actually end up feeling worse because you feel stiff and rigid because you haven't been moving, but you also start to detrain. After you take a week off training, things start to go backwards. You feel a little bit more stiff. You're not as mobile. You're not as flexible. You start to lose some of your strength and your fitness. So you want to, even when you're racing through the race season, you still want to be training and keeping at it. And this was, I think, the time where he had an injury, but then obviously he'd be going racing on the weekend and getting at it. So there's another thing here that I wanted to share with you guys, which was from Gypsy Tales, which was a cool little snippet here. There was two pieces. So there was one here where he was just talking about his strength. We'll have a listen to this first. Hopefully you guys can hear it all right.
10% and beyond probably. So, and then I just knew like I'm physically super, super strong. And then I just kept nailing them down and I passed them on the last lap. I did it often that I really had those late moto charges. And it also gives you mental rest because then you know, like halfway the moto, okay, when it comes up to the last 3-4 laps, I got that speed, I got that desire, and mainly I got that fitness to still, pull the trigger when I have to. Because especially in 2018.
So there he's just talking about like the confidence that he gives him. So specifically to him, he's talking about the strength and the fitness side. And I think he was talking about, this was a few years back when he was battling with Caroli. He was just talking about the advantage that he had confidence-wise with having the strength and having the fitness. He was like, when I got to the halfway through the moto or got to the last bit of the moto when it's really, really hard, especially on those tougher tracks, like one of the ones that we just watched, is when you know you've got the strength there and you've got the fitness, you're like, all right, let's go. It's game time, right? He's ready to rock and roll. When you don't have that strength and fitness, then you get halfway through the race and you're just hoping that checkered flag's going to go out. So it's a different mindset. It's a different mentality. When someone's got that strength and fitness there to keep pushing, then you find this other gear at the end of the race. When the other guys are starting to slow up a little bit or get tired, you know you can keep going. And you don't have to be Jeffrey to do that. You don't have to be an MXGP rider. You can tap into that confidence even if you only race or ride once a week. By building the strength and fitness off the bike, it helps to give you that confidence on race day by going, hey, like I've done the work during the week. I'm fit. I'm strong. These other guys haven't done this. They're just riding once a week. It gives you that advantage mentally and also physically as well. The other thing that he mentioned is body weight. I'll have a look. It was 709. Let's have a look here.
Eating burgers. I'm like, I can even, if I look at...
I'll go back a little bit so you got a bit of context on what he's saying.
Yeah, I knew. So, yeah, I'm just bumming myself up, like, and then I just get pissed off. I see those guys being on a boat or eating burgers. I'm like, I can even, if I look at the burger, I'm gaining 2 kilos. So I need a salad. I need carrots. I'm like a bunny, you know what I mean? So I need to really look at everything I really do. And then I'm like, I'm going to go out. I'm like, but then like 3 times a day, and then it's
cool. So what he's talking about is like when he sees other riders doing things that he's not doing, that he's sacrificing. So he's like saying, when there's other guys out, I see them out on the boat or I see them out like posting up on Instagram that they're having burgers and stuff. And he's like, I'm not doing that. He's like, I'm trying to be as light as possible. I'm trying to eat all the right stuff. I'm trying to fuel my body. Again, it fuels his confidence going into race day because he's like, yeah, I know I'm ready. Like I'm ready to get out there and attack the track. And when it comes to that time out on the track where things are tough and things are getting really, really hard, it comes back to the mindset side of going, yeah, I've done the work. Like I'm ready to rock and roll. So it's partly a confidence thing, which the training and the strength helps with, obviously for Jeffrey and for anyone as well, anyone racing, when you've got that strength and fitness there, like you're ready to rock and roll, you're ready to go. The other thing that he mentioned is weight as well, which is right. Like there's a balance between like just getting strong, right, and trying to gain 20 kilos and actually building adequate levels of strength to be able to ride the bike well. So you want to balance of both. You want to make sure that you can be lean and be light on the bike, but you also want to make sure that you can build strength. And that comes down to the types of exercises that you can use. Over the years, I've found that a lot of riders think that if they lift weights, that they are going to get massive and put on like 10, 20 kilos of muscle. And that's not how it works. It comes down to the types of foods that you're eating, how much food you're eating, and it comes down to the types of exercises that you're using in the gym and with your training. At the end of the day, you want to build strength, where the goal isn't to build size. And they're two different things. So you just need to know how to train each of those.
Mentally.
So that's what he talks about there. And that's really the breakdown. Like there's the strength side, there's the cardio side, which we talked about, and then there's the nutrition side. And they're the only three areas that you can work on off the bike to be able to help you on the bike. So it's just about optimizing each of those areas and knowing and actually seeing how it's going to be able to help you on the bike on race day. And if you'd like some help getting race fit, you can join our Faster Laps program. I'll put the link in the description if you'd like to apply.